Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Truth Will Set You Free show. I'm your host, Linda Diane Wattley, and this show is brought to you by TLBTV and the Liberty Beacon Project. I am excited, as usual, about my guest. My guest today has put me in a very unique situation. It's not every day that you deal with a person that knows a master. And I know about masters. People don't talk about them often, but they do exist. And I find it fascinating how humble she is, how gracious she is, how loving, positive, and her passion to share with the world a message that a master has for humanity. And my guest today is Tomikaw, correct?
Yes, hello, Linda.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Okay, where are you? Are you in the United States or are you in Japan right now?
I'm in Japan. It's 8 a.m. in the morning, so.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
good
God.
morning or good evening to you.
Well, tell me, are you a morning person?
Yes, I am. So I'm really glad to be doing this
I
in the morning.
am not a morning person. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me on your show. It's my pleasure.
And I want people to understand that while we're talking to Mia, we're also talking to someone that's, I feel, is dear to her heart, her spiritual journey, and also a person that cares about humanity. And that runs really deep with me. And his name is Master Ryuho Okawa. Okawa.
Yes.
Tell us about him.
Sure. He is a spiritual leader and author, and he has been trying to achieve a simple goal, which is to bring happiness to all humanity. And you can see how passionate he is by looking at how many books he's written so far, which is amazingly 2,400 books. So he keeps talking about how to become happier and how we can make others happier by by writing books, giving lectures in front of people. And he has also established a group called Happy Science. And we have members all around the world. And I think that we have a number as many as 100 million people. So we are trying to spread this movement, and we're trying to spread his message because we really believe that his message can bring happiness to the world.
So how did you encounter him? How did he just show up in your life?
Yes, actually, it was about 15 years ago. Actually, I used to live in the United States, and that's when I encountered his books. I was kind of in search for the truth. I had my job and I thought I was living a happy life, but I felt like something was really missing in my life. And, I think it was my purpose in life. I was searching for my purpose in life, and, I wasn't sure which direction to go to. And that's when I read his book. My friend recommended that I read his book, and I found all the answers that I was looking for at the time. And I was so amazed, and I started reading all his books. And that's when I realized that I really have to help him spread his messages, because his messages really changed my life, 180 degrees. So since then, I started helping with the organization, and I moved back to Japan to help with the translations of his books from Japanese to English.
So what do you mean by movement?
Well, Happy Science is an organization which was established in 1986. And we are trying to spread the truth that will make people bring happiness. And it's based on the teachings of the truth about human life and the world. And of course, if I go into details, it's going to take hours to explain what they,
That's
what
what we're
they
here
are.
for. That's what we're here for. The truth will set you free.
Yeah, but basically, I believe that we experience unhappiness and difficulties that we feel like we can solve just because we don't really know the truth. And one example is, for example, we all go through difficulties and hardships in life. But Master told me that these are meant to be in a way because our purpose for being born here is to really improve our souls and polish our souls by going through many difficulties and many different experiences. And if you look at your issues from that perspective, they look different to you. They are no longer simple difficulties or hardships or a source of pain. They are meant to give you some lessons about yourself and about the world, and you start learning from everything that happens in your life. And this is just one of the messages that he's trying to spread. But things like that really, I think, really teach us to really how to change ourselves, to better ourselves, and also improve the world for the better. So spreading this message is the movement that I'm talking about.
Wow, that is really amazing to me, because when you say truth, are you saying that you have narrowed it down to just one truth?
No, it's the truth with, it's a multiple truth, of course. There are different, I guess you could say they're more like the laws that apply to everyone. Like, I think there are many types of spiritual truths. And if you become aware of those laws or the truths, you can really make your lives better. And by the way, can I ask you a question? What does the truth will set you free show? What does that mean?
That means that for me, if you hear the right truth, it will set you free. And if you're not a free person, you keep finding that truth. You keep seeking that truth until you find it, because you should be a free person. And there's so many avenues to truth. And it's a time when you're ready for certain truths. And so what my platform is about is presenting truths that hopefully when it passes your way, that is adding to getting you to your best truth, to be your best self.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think we are on the same page here. I really believe the truth will set you free too.
Yeah, see, like, I find it fascinating how unique he is.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he was, 10 years old, I think he was in the second grade, they said he had a 20-year-old IQ.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there lets you know that he was just not your just ordinary person.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the age of 20, he had read over 1,000 books.
Mm-hmm.
But what really was the pivotal moment for him that he realized he had a purpose? What was that pivotal moment in his life that made him realize that he had a purpose?
Oh, I think it was when he was in his 20s. He was about to graduate from college, and he was trying to decide what path to move on to. And that's when he started receiving messages from the spirit world. And it's a very, very unique experience, and it's probably hard to believe for some people, but he can communicate with the spirits in heaven. And he has started receiving his message, and he couldn't believe them for himself. That's why he took a career in a trading business, and he spent the next 6 years trying to make sure that the messages that he was receiving were correct. He wasn't going insane or anything like that. And that's yeah, I know, because how many people talk about these spiritual leaders. So he really wanted to make sure they are the right messages for the people. And I think that was his turning point in his life, that he decided his mind, made up his mind to really move on with his life to spread these messages. And that's why he decided to leave his successful career and started this organization, Happy Science.
So what was the pivotal moment for you that you realized that you had actually found where you belong?
Well, that was actually, as I told you, the moment I read his book. That was really a turning point in my life. I, of course, believed in, God and supreme existence and the world beyond this world, which is the spirit world. But I wasn't really sure how that would relate to my life, or, if that would really tell me what I'm supposed to do with my life. And it was a very, very touching moment. It was actually surprising to me too, because when I opened his book and started reading, the tears came down on my cheeks, and I had no idea what that meant. But I just felt with my heart that this was something really important for my life, and that was really, I think, the turning point in my life.
But do you remember what you had read that stuck with you so solely?
Yes. Well, the entire book really touched my heart, but the part where he used a metaphor of an apple tree, and he said that apple trees, when they are planted, they can't really move to a different location, but they keep bearing fruits, apples, on their tree, and just to give people joy. And apple trees, they don't receive anything back in return. Their joy lies in seeing people who are eating the delicious apples. And if you are a human being, I'm sure you can do better. So no matter what circumstances you find yourself, you can really do your best, and you can really benefit other people. And that's really, that really touched my heart. And I realized, I can do much better,
So that was just a special time for you. So how did you end up being his editor and putting his books together so well?
Well, thank you so much.
Oh my God, it's amazing to me. And you're able to translate it to English and what other different languages. You know his soul.
Oh, I hope so. I'm really trying.
It's just, intertwined. You're talking about intertwining souls here. It's like you were heaven sent for him, as well as him being heaven sent for you, because you have a gift that you're sharing with a master.
Yeah, I'm really grateful.
Can you fathom that?
I know. I don't know. I'm trying my best, and I think I can, keep improving myself. And I'm really hoping that we can overcome any language barrier or cultural differences, because I think a truth for everyone, in no matter, regardless of where you're from or what language you speak. So I'm really trying my best to really convey his messages in English so that they can really touch people's hearts.
Well, you definitely are. I can tell you that, because I'm an author myself, and I have read thousands of books myself, and you are really heaven sent for him, because you are not missing a beat.
Thank you so much for saying that.
When you look at his purpose, it is so raw and it's so pure, and it's also a truth that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So they can't say that there's no sources for them to get to a better place, because he is constantly sharing what's coming from the spiritual world. Constantly. It's like he a faucet. He's a faucet.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to be able to take that information and make it where somebody can say, yeah, it's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Thank you
And,
so much.
and you know, his different books. I mean, it's so many books that he has written and he can't stop.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever met him personally?
Yes, I've attended his lectures, and so in that sense, yeah, I met him in person.
Wow. And the thing about it is what he has to offer for what's going on in the world today
Mm-hmm.
is something that's not so much a religion as it is a universal spiritual awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And he's giving us a chance to help ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like his book, A Powerful Mind, the one about the powerful mind.
Mm-hmm.
No, Strong Mind.
Don't mind. Uh-huh.
How did what made him come up with that title? Do you know?
Well, I think it really has a very, very deep meaning, because when you think about what strong means, what the strength is, I'm sure it's not only the physical strength, I think it's power of our spiritual being, like the mind or heart or soul, or whatever you want to call it, it's really the strength that really deep lies deep in yourselves. And he's, I think, talking about we need to really start unleashing these powers, because we can do much more and accomplish much more than we believe we can. And I think it's really becoming aware of our true strength, as a soul. And I think so this book is much deeper than just living life in this world, but it's really about really improving and cultivating our spiritual growth.
So, when I was reading it, when you hear the word strong mind, it's like, okay, it causes you to focus in on what is he talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So that title is powerful in its own right.
Mm-hmm.
Because what would be a strong mind to an individual who don't know what he knows?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To me, when I heard a strong mind, it's a focused mind.
Mm.
And the things that he shared about it is really your soul, your spirit. It's not just your thinking processing. Am I correct about where he was going with that?
Yes, I think so.
Because
Mm-hmm.
it's like your mind, people don't even really think about what the mind is.
Mm-hmm.
So when he spoke of mind, what do you think he was talking about?
Oh, I think, as you said, it's a thinking, a feeling, emotions, what's inside you. Because he often says that mind is really who you are. It's what it means is what you're thinking, how you're feeling is your true self. It's really not, how you look or what country you're from, but it's the thinking that defines your being. So yeah, I think you're right about that mind, what it means by the mind.
And I tell you another thing I like that he was saying that we weren't naturally born with willpower.
Mm-hmm.
We were naturally born with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's something to acquire,
Yes.
and the way he explains surviving, suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Like, explain to us how it could be a special jewel if you understand it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well, I think hardships and difficulties can be the most precious moments in life, because these experiences actually teach us what we need to do in our life. I think we all go through many difficulties, like divorce or bankrupt, or maybe we lose a job, or we have relationship difficulties, and these are really probably most difficult times in our lives. But if you imagine not having any of these difficulties, like what would you do? Like, would you really enjoy living such an easy life? You have nothing going on in your life. And I think one of the metaphors that I find very interesting that he uses is, he says like our life is like a movie, So when you go watch a movie, and if you don't see the main character going through any difficulty, if the main character lives a happy life and that's the end, you get kind of disappointed, And from a spiritual perspective, I think the same thing happened to our lives, and we're supposed to go through many ups and downs because, first of all, it's more fun, interesting, and second of all, we can gain so much more by going through different experiences. So, and I think the most difficult times in life are actually the most precious moments in life, because we can just learn so much from them. And if you can look over your life and just remember, probably the most difficult times in your life, you will see that they have so much impact on your life, and that really shows you what you're here for, what kind of things you're supposed to be learning in this life. And many people don't realize this, and they just struggle and worry or have distress over it. But I think this is a really important truth that we all need to be aware, that they're meant to really polish your souls, and in that sense they're jewels in your life.
So basic, you sound like that this is such a temporary place or state of being. Mm-hmm. Like you're getting prepared for something else. That's what it seems like you're saying. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what he's saying. We are here for this life in this world is a temporary life, and our true existence is a spiritual being. So we usually reside in the spirit world, but we decide to come down here so that we can polish our souls and become a better, become a better soul. So these are like, it's like you're appearing in your own movie, and you're trying to gain many experiences, and you take back your memories and what you learned, lessons you learned, to the other world, and you can share your wisdom with other people when you return to the other world.
Well, he also, through several of his books, he make it seem like people need to come to terms with death early. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, this is something that we cannot avoid. We'll all be going to die at some point in life. And I think many people struggle with the fear of death. And of course, maybe you may lose your spouse or your children, your parents in life, and you may feel like it's really, really, really a sad thing. And it's really a sad thing, of course. But when you know the truth that we have really eternal life, and we can keep living in the spirit world, and when we return to the other world, we can meet with them again, So it's not the end of our relationship. We can still keep we can still see each other in the other world, and that really, I think, comforts many people's hearts.
Wow. So basically, because they were saying, well, not they, but in his book, The Strong Mind, that's the name of it, right? The Strong Mind?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. He pretty much was saying that love, give love, don't take love. What was he exactly saying there?
Yes, that's actually one of the other many signature teachings that he is giving us. And giving love is to give love without expecting anything in return. Whereas taking love is, you may feel like you're giving love to others, but you're actually sometimes binding other people and taking love from them. And it's really crucial that we differentiate the differences between taking love and giving love. And this can apply to all aspects of our life. Are we giving love through the work we do? Are we giving love to the families? If you are married, are you really truly giving love to your spouse? And if you look at your life from this perspective, you can truly see if you're really, really living with love for others, or maybe you may be sometimes having painful experiences because you are actually taking love when you think that you're giving love. And yeah, so it's kind of abstract concept, but it can be practical and can be applied to different phases of life.
So what is the first step to the strong mind?
The strong mind, I think the first step is to become aware of the existence of your mind, first of all. Because without knowing what it is, you can't really make it stronger. So I think, the mind is not only about your thoughts or, what exists in your brain. It's really who you are. And what you think who you are is who you really are. So becoming aware of what goes inside of you, whether it's thinking or emotions, that really defines who you are, and that really determines the course of life you're taking. So if you're filled with positive thoughts all the time, your life will move into a positive direction. But if you keep having like pessimistic thoughts all the time, you end up attracting, negative things to you. And that's the kind of the power of the mind that we all have. And we have complete control over what we think. Some people might think that, there's really nothing you can do to help yourself because you're suffering from this or you're in this situation. But actually, you can control how you feel or what you think about certain events. You can change your thinking. And I think that's the power of the mind that we all have. And I think the first step is to becoming aware that the mind exists and we have control over it.
Wow. And, I just want to touch on the fact that, he is a master.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, one of the things that made him one, he didn't create a religion or a doctrine, but he created, what would you call it? Truths that people are embracing and becoming one with. And one of the truths that he shared, which I found interesting, is he mentioned a god of the earth that I had never heard of. Kadori? What's the name?
El Cantare?
Right. Tell us about that.
Okay. I'm trying to explain it in an easy and concise way. But he presents this view that can actually integrate all the different religions. And what's interesting is that we, keep seeing many conflicts and issues between different religions. But he's saying that they actually all come from the same source. It's just that they explain the existence of God and his teachings in different ways. So like Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, even Judaism, all the world religions, they come from one source. But, if you look at a huge mountain, for example, some people might look at the mountain from above, and some people might look at it from the side. Maybe some people might look at from the bottom. And depending where they are, they explain the mountain differently, but they're also talking about the same mountain. And we call this mountain the God of Earth, and El Cantare, who has been guiding all these religious teachers and saviors. And he's not saying he's the only one. That sometimes creates confusion, because when you say that there's only one God that you need to believe in, you start saying all the other religions are fake or they're lying. But that's what he's saying. He's saying all religions are teaching the truth, but just in a different way. And we need to really become aware of this truth to overcome any differences between religions. Because when we focus on the same source, you can start understanding each other. And that existence, he's calling that, is El Cantare.
So what do you think the purpose of all this disaster, natural disaster and immorality, what is all of this heading towards? What is really the undercurrent of all that? Do you have any idea?
Yes, I think I learned that natural disasters are more like, our Earth as a planet has consciousness. And just like, we sometimes catch a cold or become sick, right? And we want to heal ourselves, we lie in our bed or we take medicines. And I think the Earth also has its own consciousness. And sometimes, we have extreme, like if people have evil thoughts, or if people try to destroy the nature or something that's harmful to the Earth wants to try to heal itself by cleaning that place, the area. So sometimes we can't we can't avoid natural disasters, because it's just a process of, I think, healing itself.
Wow, that makes sense to me. It's creating a new balance, more or less.
Yes. So I think, like, if we humans can have a higher awareness, if we can really harmonize ourselves and start living more peacefully and by understanding each other, I think we can decrease the amount of natural disasters.
Wow. So
yeah.
How would you say immorality? Because it's really out of control to me. I have never seen in a capacity that this keeps growing. What is that coming to? What is the catalyst of that? Do you know?
Well, yeah, I think it may be similar to the issue of good and evil, maybe. And, I think some people ask, why is there evil when there's God? Why wouldn't God try to erase all evil from the world so we can live happier, But that really has to do with another teaching, which is that we have a complete freedom over our thoughts and soul. So, of course, we have certain laws that prohibit us from doing certain things. But in terms of our mind, we're free to what we think and how we feel. And God will never take that away from us, no matter what we do. And so, of course, some people can choose to do evil or think evil thoughts. And as a consequence, some immorality exists, and we can't really force people to get rid of it, because we have complete freedom over it. And I think the only way to really help improve that situation is to really spread the truth and share that we are essentially really good beings. We have a beautiful soul, and we have the freedom to use it in any way we want. So why don't we try make it shine better instead of using it for a wrong purpose? And I think people who do evil really have their own issues. And I think by trying to help them solve their issues, I'm sure they can turn into good people, because we're essentially good, and I really believe in it.
Well, he also mentioned that we should really nurture the reality that we are children of God.
Mm-hmm.
So every single person is a child of God?
Yes, we are. I believe so.
And so when he wrote Powerful Mind, what was the purpose?
Well, I think he felt really sad that many people are still suffering from difficulties and hardships they face because they don't realize that they can actually gain control over it and improve their lives by strengthening their mind. And this is one way he's showing how we can find happiness in life. And as I said at the very beginning, his goal is really simple: to bring happiness to humankind. And he is giving many different paths to that goal. And this is one way he's showing us that by really strengthening ourselves, our mind, and taking control over our lives, we can start finding happiness in our life, and of course sharing that happiness with other people.
So do you feel that people are understanding that they don't realize that there's more to life to experience? Do you think that they get stuck in a rut because of so much suffering?
Yes, I think, of course, I really understand if you have a serious issue in your family or at school or at work, probably all you think about is the issue you're having, and so I think that's really important, that we also have this objective or higher perspective about our life. And sometimes we have to kind of let go and just, oh yeah, this is how life is supposed to be, and this is what life wants to teach me. So I'll just learn whatever I can from this experience. And when you shift your mindset like that, you get calmer and more peace, be in peace with yourself and peace with your environment. And yeah, so that's, I think, really important that we start doing if you are really struggling with the issues in front of you.
And he also mentioned, which I found kind of hard to believe, that he lacked courage. He felt like his father didn't see him with courage, but I couldn't fathom that. Understand that.
Right.
What
Well,
was it about his life that made him feel that way?
I think I think people, when you discover your mission, and especially it's a really big mission, you of course don't feel confident that you'll be able to do it. And that's why you have to cultivate courage. And I think he really has a very strong sense of trying to improve himself. So he always feels like, this isn't enough, I can do more and I need to do more. And I think that really has given him a sense of unknown, not knowing what he needs to do with his life. But I think, it was really meant to be that he had such a courageous father and that he could learn from. And yeah, this is a really good example of how our families and people around us are here to really help us, to learn from. And whatever we are struggling with life, it really has a meaning. And usually there are some people that are there to help you.
And he also kind of made it seem like it was just inevitable. Like he was saying, every decade,
Exactly.
we have to face something. And the breakdown of those decades were so on point. It was like, okay, this fits everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Share with us that decade. I 40 years old, I think, when you start realizing the aging process is actually kicking in, how a person can proceed forward without regressing because you don't have, the youthfulness like before that decade.
Right. Yeah. I think he mentions that we face one crisis per decade or something, on average. And these are the issues that, we can't avoid. Like sometimes, difficulties, illness, aging, and these are the things that we can avoid. We all face it. But I think when we are struggling with our own issues, we feel they're really particular, unique, and special problems that cannot be solved. And when you feel you can't solve your issues, you become desperate, and you become very pessimistic. Knowing that these are kind of patterns that we all go through, we all go through ups and downs, and we somehow survive them, And I think, one example is probably aging. We cannot avoid aging. We become older. But sometimes we suffer from aging because it feels like it's really unique to yourself only. But this is just the path that we go through, and that's not what you need to focus on. We really need to focus on really nourishing and nurturing your mind. And as you get older, maybe your physical appearance may decline, but on the other hand, you can cultivate inner richness, much more than when you were young. And that's how you can really, benefit yourself and the people around you, because you can share lots of wisdom that you learn over the course of your years, and you can somehow help other people. So I think as you get older, we face many issues, but that's the time when we really have to help other people, and without focusing on, instead of focusing on own issues.
And it was mentioned that the experience of an ill loved one, a child, is a precious moment and jewel that one can really enhance to a positive state.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what would you say to a person that's experiencing that?
Right. If you mean parents who have problems with their children, right? Okay. There's one more another teaching that he gave us, and which is really interesting, because he said that we actually choose our parents and whom we are born into, and we kind of make a promise before we are born here that we become parents or sisters or brothers, because we know that's really the best way for us, for our spiritual growth. So if you look at it from that perspective, your children that might be causing you so much trouble, maybe here to train yourself, and because that's what you wanted in the first place, And also, I think he talks about disabled children, and these people, these souls, have chosen to be born that way, because, of course, it's much more difficult to be, disabled. But they can also learn so much more than being born into a healthy body. If you think about Helen Keller and what she has done for the world, yes, she had to go through so much difficulty, but she was able to really grow and really benefit the world, gave us encouragement and hope and, much more. And she has decided to born to that circumstance because that was her mission. So these people are really like angels with big missions. And so you don't have to be really sad when you have disabled children, because they are often here to learn and to fulfill their mission themselves.
Wow, that is pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
That's really pleasant.
Yeah, so it really helps us to see the world from a different light.
Right. I was also wondering, that people who embrace his truths,
Mm-hmm.
like in Christianity, they call it salvation, and people have this awakening experience, and then they go tell everybody you have to get saved,
Mm-hmm.
different aspects of what they have come to believe. How do people who embrace his truths make it known to the world that they have this truth without saying like salvation or you're going to hell? What is it that you share with others that make them have a curiosity?
But I think that may be something that we all want to know. We're really trying our best to spread the truth to as many people as possible. And there are certain spiritual truths that really touch someone's hearts. And it really depends on that person, I think, If you're Christian and if you're struggling with some of the teachings of Christianity, maybe we can tell them, well, this is really, this is what it really means. Or, if you're struggling with your family relationships, maybe I can share the truth about the spiritual relationship between the souls of the parents and children and things like that. So I don't know if this will be a good answer, but I think it depends on each person, what really touches their hearts. So I think trying to find out what the person is looking for is probably the first step that we need to take. And also probably another step we can take is that to let people know that they all have their unique mission in life, and discovering it and fulfilling it is one of the great purposes in life. And I'm sure, Linda, you know your mission in life and you're trying to spread the word through, this program. And as you know, when you really discover your mission and trying to achieve it, you really feel happy, I think. You feel very satisfied. So I think discovering your own mission is probably one way to really spread the truth, I think.
So, how do children respond to it?
Children, right. Well, children, they're still growing up and they have many different interests, and maybe seeking the truth may not be the only one. They may be more interested in making
They
friends.
have an automatic. They can't have an automatic strong mind because he don't believe that. So,
Right.
so it's
Having,
going to be
I
a
know.
while for them.
But I think we can teach them to start with believing in themselves and building self-confidence and believe that they can do it. I think as parents, I'm a parent too, but as parents, I think that's what we need to do, to really encourage our children to really believe in themselves, because I think it really starts with having faith in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, you can't really believe in other people, and it makes it hard to believe in God. So I think that's where I think children can start learning the truth.
And then they also, if they're in your presence, people don't realize you're permitting.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
just the kids being in your presence, children being in your presence, and you have this purity of flow,
mm-hmm,
it'll
mm-hmm,
be normal and natural to them and they will recognize it.
mm-hmm.
But I also wanted to ask you, because he's into happiness, but what he mean by happiness is a little different than a lot of people look at happiness. Explain to us what it means to him.
Sure. It's the happiness he's talking about is more spiritual happiness. I think many people talk about happiness as more as physical happiness or happiness in this world, like having a successful job or living in a big house or driving a nice car. And that's not the happiness he's talking about. Of course, he's not denying these things. He thinks that these are really important, you know, having enough money to really live a nice life isn't something that we should all deny. But he's talking about that in the end we will leave this world, And when we leave this world, we have to leave behind all these things, your house, your car, even your family, And the only thing you can take is the mind or the experiences or the feelings you have inside of you. So it's really important that we start achieving happiness that we can bring back with us. And what it is really our spiritual growth or experiences, different experiences and lessons we learn from them. And that's the happiness he's talking about. And he's talking about the happiness that lasts from this world to the other world, and like the happiness that lasts forever.
And it sounds like to me, when I think about strong minds, I think that would make you a healthier person.
Exactly. Because I think when you feel depressed or down, or when you are struggling with an issue, you start getting sick and you feel like you don't want to do anything. And, I think your health deteriorates. So I think having a healthier mind leads to a healthier lifestyle. And yeah, that really works for everyone. So I really recommend that everyone really starts training or polishing their mind to live a happy and healthier life.
And so what would you say people need to empty out of their mind to begin with, to even start the process?
To empty out, you said?
Yeah.
First of all, I think negative thoughts about what happens around you, if you start looking inside of you and review all the kind of thoughts and emotions you have had during the day, you may discover that there's maybe some things that you don't feel comfortable with, some thoughts that you had in your mind that that are not really positive. And you think about how you can transform these negative thoughts into positive thoughts. Is there anything you can learn from that? Or how can you change your thoughts or feelings to a more positive mindset? And I guess by replacing any negative thoughts you had with positive thoughts, you can automatically empty out any negative things from your mind. And I think that's where people can start.
Well, we haven't mentioned his name in a while. I have my reasons, but I want you to say his name again so people can be aware of who we are
okay.
talking about.
Ryuho Okawa. It's Master Ryuho Okawa.
Yes, yes, yes. And the name of his book that we're talking about
Is The Strong Mind. The Strong
yes.
Mind.
And that is really an amazing book. I mean, it's like I was looking forward to talking with you because, like I said, people per meet. And it was such a joy and pleasure, enrichment and refreshment for me to read such well-spoken truths that was universal and wasn't religious. And I'm telling you, you must walk in his soul because you did not come up short on giving understanding of how a person could help themselves, a person could help his or herself. Because it's like one thing I learned about truth, whether you comprehend it, you start manifesting what it's about. And that's what I loved about it because I felt the power of that truth. And it was so amazing experience for me because I look for things like that. So it was just appreciative moment for me. I want you to know that.
Thank you, Linda. Can you tell me which truth especially touched your heart from the book?
Well, the fact that his bottom line, see, I get to bottom lines and I put it all together. I'm responsible for my outcome. And it's a lot of thoughts that I have that he confirmed. Like he said, just be glad that nothing bad happen. And quit blaming people for where you are or where you're not. You know, it's just the simple truths that he had that confirmed my thought processing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was so universal, and he was also current, but yet he was ancient at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just delicious. and I was so appreciative of it. And like I said, I don't know how you are so humble.
Oh no, Master Okawa is really humble. He wants to learn from every person, everything in the world. And yeah, I'm really amazed how humble he is all the time.
I'm talking about you.
Thank you.
Because you have touched practically everything he has written. So you just can't be the norm. It's just impossible. That's just like helping write the Bible.
I'm really trying, and I'm really trying to reach more people and spread the word.
But it's not in vain. I want you to know that. And I also want you to share with us, if people wanted to reach him or his work, or even you, how do they go about doing that?
Well, if they want to know more about the books, they can go to our website, okawabooks.com, okawabooks.com. If they want to know about the organization, they can go to happyscience.org. And I can be reached either way through IRH Press, which is a publisher, Okawa Books, or Happy Science, the spiritual organization.
Well, it was just such a pleasure. And Mia, you are on the Truth Will Set You Free show. Give us a truth to remember you by.
What? I don't know.
So, because you're so full, that's why. I don't think you can just do one, can you?
I have so many things I want to say. But I think we're born here to be happy. And we all have the right and also duty to be happy. So I really hope that everyone can find their own path to happiness. And the best and fastest way to reach happiness is to really be awakened to the truth. And I really hope that many people will really join this movement and spread the truth with us.
Well, I assure you, he should be very proud of you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine. Thank you so much, Linda.
Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.